Nyonyitono here to steer the ship and show us the way. I don't know if he's showing us the way though, because women are doing all that, right? Good morning, Robert.
Welcome back.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
Yeah, shots fired.
How are you, Robert?
You see, one of the things I mastered is the art of women.
The art of what?
The art of women.
And what did you master?
And I'm writing a book about it.
Okay.
Very soon it will be on market, I hope so.
Okay.
Titled The Art of Women. And one of the key characters in this book is actually Olive.
Oh my goodness.
So once it is on market, please make sure you get yourself a copy. It won't be very expensive, but it will be in key bookstores.
I hope that advert has been paid for.
It's not paid for, so we should go to market.
Yes,
after here.
yes.
I love your color. You're entirely putting on red.
Please do not make it political.
This,
Please
morning.
do not do that.
No, I'm just talking about the color red throughout.
Okay.
And you see, there's a scripture I love in the Bible that says, "You will know them by their fruits."
Oh, wow.
But they forgot to put by their colors. Otherwise, welcome back.
Thank you, Robert.
It's a pleasure. I've missed you, by the way.
Thank you, Robert, and I am really glad to be back. One thing I can tell everyone that is watching right now is that take good care of your health. If you're told that you need to work on your iron levels, work on your iron levels, because that can actually put you down seriously. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, Olive. Good to have you back. I share the joy, just like Robert.
I'm glad to be back.
Yeah.
How have you been?
Been well, holding fort, and it was always a good experience to step in your shoes.
Oh, and well done. You did well.
And to learn while you're away. But also, it's always good to learn from you while you're around.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. If
But
someone told
wait.
me that, this morning when I woke up that Julie was going to, just give me all the praises, I don't know. I should have prepared myself, but thank you.
They say give them their flowers while they can still receive them. So please receive yours.
Oh,
I'm just
thank you.
taken up by that dress as well.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yes.
It's beautiful. I
Thank
like
you.
it.
And
Well,
if it's for Edie, if she went to eat food somewhere, it has something you cover your head on.
Well, Chavo, speaking about Eid, yes, we did have Eid yesterday. So our Muslim brothers and sisters, welcome back from the month of Ramadan, where you did fast and give your all to your Maker, your Creator, try to make amends, get closer to God. Fasting does not move God, but fasting moves us to God. So that thing that you did, and I know that Christians are still fasting because Lent is still ongoing up until the 17th, when we will have a Good Friday, did you say, or Holy Thursday?
Monday, Thursday.
Okay, so then we will be, the Christians will be breaking their Lent. I'm not fasting, so let me not lie. Yeah, but yes, everyone that is fasting will be breaking their fast then. But our Muslim brothers and sisters did do that yesterday. However, among the statements that were made by the heads of the Muslim society, the titular head of all Muslims in Uganda, Prince Kasim Nachibinge, did respond to a report by the government that aims to centralize all school fees payment by the government. And he said that the Uganda Muslim Education Association will not agree to it. Now, according to this report by the government, school fees payment by public schools will have to be paid through Uganda Revenue Authority. And the titular head for Muslims in Uganda, that is Prince Kasim Nachibinge, said, no, this is not going to happen. We will not be part and parcel of that. But also in the same breath, the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, the Most Reverend Stephen Kazimba Mugalu, did say that the Church of Uganda will also not be part and parcel of this centralization of collection of school fees by the Church of Uganda schools. And in a provincial board of education meeting at the Church of Uganda that did take place on the 27th of March 2025, they did resolve that the Church of Uganda schools are not public schools. fire being sparked by different players, the Muslims, the Protestants. What's your say, Julie?
I think right now it's fuzzy and blurry, given that public schools are not just religious schools. There are those that are religious, strictly religious, and then there are those that are not ideally religious. And I think my focus would be on the religious ones, because they usually have unique attributes that come with them in how they handle their administration, as being aligned to their beliefs. So if the whole centralization point comes forth, I wonder how it's planned for specific needs, unique needs at that. But anyway, since it's not yet official, I look forward to the discussions on how the detailed planning will be for the uniqueness of religious schools and the expenses.
Religious-based or
religious-based schools, yes.
Okay, Robert, according to the Provincial Board of Education and the Church of Uganda, they're saying they resolved that Church of Uganda schools are not public schools. Do you think that it's someone saying, are they really saying this emotionally, or they actually have a basis for this? Because for many people in Uganda, we know that those schools, especially the missionary schools, are government schools. But at the same time, when you look at how they do their things, how they run their schools, actually, even when you compare them to other, let's say, UPE schools, there is a difference in how operations in these schools, are managed and executed. So what's your say on that?
Well, first we should go back to history. When education started in this country, it was brought on the basis of religion. When we look at most of the schools, they were built by the missionaries. When you look at, when we had the Anglicans that came in first and built schools, we had the Catholics come in, we had the Muslims later on come in, but all of these built schools. Now, as things moved on, there was what we call a public-private partnership. A school like Namiriango, one would say it's a public school. But this is founded by the Catholic Church. Its principles are by the Catholic Church. A school like Mengo Senior Secondary School, it is by the Anglican Church. It's founded by the Anglican Church. Even all these other uniqueness, and to be honest, government doesn't have so many what we can call 100% public schools. So these are key stakeholders. If you're to look at what we have in Uganda, majority are private schools, then religious or church or Muslim founded schools.
Yes.
Now, these are key stakeholders. If they say this will not work, and also the other biggest challenge with government, I've already said that we usually put the cart before the horse. Begin with sensitization. Because if you ask many people, why is government resorting to this? Many will tell you they want tax. But maybe government is looking at exploitation of the parents.
So what's the argument, briefly, Robert? What's the argument the schools, away from them saying these are not public schools, what other argument do schools have as regards their no to being centralized in terms of payment?
One, these schools argue that when you collect what I've been collecting, getting certain facilitation from government is going to be hard. The bureaucracy, decision making in schools. For example, schools would wake up and say, we need a van.
And then they have to go through a lot of
if UBC wanted to purchase a van,
UBC will
go to public procurement, all that, We want to have maybe the winners in our school have to get this amount. They will tell you in government, we don't do things that way. Okay. Because they have the basket, they have the pool.
Which
and second, what is collected by government does not go back to that particular entity. It goes in a consolidated fund. Then it is divided along. But a school has been collecting school fees for the welfare of that particular school.
Now you look at a school
now
like
you're telling me
with thousands of
yes,
students collecting
and the money
all this
goes
money,
to the consolidated fund.
And then it goes to a school that has like 800 to 1,000 students.
All it doesn't go to schools. Government priorities value.
Yes, they
and the fact that it's most schools are religious based, they have unique needs.
Yes.
Well,
You
ladies,
have to pay the chaplain and these things. And these may not
we
be-
have started Monday on quite an interesting note, but we will be having more on this conversation in our agenda segment at 8 a.m. So stick around as we delve deeper into the government's move to centralize payment of school fees in government schools, or what you'd call public schools. Some players, especially religious leaders that are, backing some of the schools that we know of, are saying no, these schools are non-public schools, whereas others are still quiet. We've not heard anything yet from the Catholic Church, but we've heard from the Anglican Church and from the Muslim side of things. So we will have this conversation later with Philbert Baguma. Stick around with us. But for now, let's get into our news.
And we'll begin with yesterday's celebrations. The Mufti of Uganda, Sheikh Shaban Ramadan Mubaje, has urged government of Uganda to regulate social media, especially TikTok, where the users abuse its use. He also appealed for unity among Muslim community in Uganda. This was at Old Kampala Mosque as Muslims were celebrating Eid Mubarak. National prayers to celebrate Eid al-Fitr were held at this mosque, marking 30 days of fasting. Mubaje also condemned the ongoing war between Israel and Gaza, where the Palestinians are being killed in large numbers, but appealed to Muslims to remain united and embrace reconciliation. He commended the President of Uganda for having deployed the UPDF in the neighboring South Sudan for the purpose of peacekeeping. Eid al-Fitr is celebrated by Muslims every year at the end of 30 days of fasting. Relatedly, leaders at Chibuli Mosque are concerned over the recent Kawempe North by-election, which was marred with violence and devastating floods in Kampala that claimed lives of 7 people last week. Prince Kasimuna Kibingi called for national dialogue as the country prepares for the upcoming general elections. The Muslims at Chibuli Mosque convened for Eid prayers to commemorate the end of Ramadan. The occasion was marked by reflections on national and global issues that have impacted the Muslim community. On the flooding catastrophe, Kampala witnessed heavy rains last week, which led to devastating flooding, claiming 7 lives. The Supreme Mufti, His Eminence Sheikh Mohammed Galabuzi, appealed to government to address the city's drainage challenge. He emphasized forgiveness, peace, and unity, urging the Muslim community and leaders to reconcile with one another. Leaders also were concerned about the ongoing conflict in Gaza and in South Sudan, where innocent lives are being lost. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni contributed 400 million shillings towards the construction of a new church in Kanyareru, Nyabushozi County in North Ankole Diocese. The Prime Minister of Uganda, Robin Nabanja, delivered the President's contribution to the congregates at Kanyareru Primary School in Kiruhura District. Nabanja commended the role played by the people of Kanyareru during the Liberation War struggle that ushered in the NRM government into power. And finally, from the local scene, Ministry of Education has been credited for emphasizing sciences, vocational skills, and innovation to link Ugandan learners to the world of work. The scientists and researchers also commended government for the new curriculum that will address an employment burden in the country, but are devised to be expanded to higher institutions of learning. By the year 1986, the higher education landscape in the country primarily consisted of a public university, Makerere University being the oldest and the largest in the country. Scientists and academic registrars from Seta University in Mbarara, Mukono district, Ronald Mbago, says private investors in education will support the sector in sciences, vocational skills and innovation. The press conference at the SETA University campus coincided with the community's familiarization tour of the university. He emphasized higher institutions of learning capacity in dealing with vocational skills and innovation. And that brings us to the end of our local stories this morning.
Wow, if buildings could teach, I am waiting to see how good this university is going to be, because the buildings are really impressive.
And of course, in the modern day, a university may not even have to be a big building or a beautiful building.
No, it's they are really well done. Let's give credit where it's due. Now we wait for the results of the degrees.
Definitely, we do wait.
Let's get into the international news. The death toll continues to rise after a deadly earthquake rattled most of Myanmar and Thailand on Friday, with certain areas sustaining the heaviest damages in each country. Along with flattened buildings, many people lost their lives in the 7.7 magnitude quake. As of Sunday night, more than 1,700 people were confirmed dead in Myanmar and the greater Bangkok area, which took the brunt of the earthquake in Thailand. Another 3,408 people were injured and 139 were missing in Myanmar. In the area around Bangkok, the count rose Sunday to 18 dead, 33 injured and 78 missing, this according to officials. Officials were still assessing the damage and any overall estimate remains incomplete. But 2 days later, a clearer picture has emerged about the extent of the destruction. As efforts pressed on the search the debris, Myanmar has sought emergency aid from the international community. Myanmar sits on the major north-south Sagaing Fault, which separates the India and Sunda plates, and the widespread damage runs down a wide swath of the middle of the country. The area includes Mandalay, Myanmar's second largest city with 1.5 million people, that is located near the earthquake's epicenter. Now moving on, President Donald Trump says new tariffs he is set to announce this week will hit all countries, not just those that have the biggest trade imbalances with the United States. The comments come as he prepares to unveil a massive slate of import taxes on Wednesday in what he calls America's Liberation Day. The measures will come on top of tariffs already imposed by Washington on aluminum, steel and vehicles, along with increased levies on all goods from China. Share markets in Asia fell in early trade on Monday as investors fret over the impact of the tariffs on the global economy. You would start with all countries, Trump told reporters on Air Force One. Essentially, all of the countries that we are talking about. The president's latest comments came despite last week suggesting he might scale back his tariff plans and impose tariffs in some cases at lower rates than countries charge the United States. White House economics advisor Kevin Hassett also recently told the Fox Business Channel that the tariffs would focus on 10 to 15 countries that have the worst trade deficits with the United States, but did not name them. Trump sees tariffs as a way of protecting the U.S. economy from unfair competition and as a bargaining chip for getting better trading terms for America. Over the weekend, Trump's advisors echoed his view that the planned tariffs could raise trillions of dollars and help create jobs in the United States. Now moving on, Somalia's breakaway region of Somaliland has rejected an attempt by the central government to give the U.S. exclusive control of a port and airbase in Berbera. The city lies on the strategic Gulf of Aden on the northern coast of Somaliland. The territory, which declared independence in 1991 as Somalia descended into civil war, says the facilities are not Mogadishu's to give away. In a letter to the United States President Donald Trump, seen by Reuters news agency, Somalia's President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud said, also, offered port and airbase within Somalia, saying all four would strengthen U.S. security operations. Somaliland's Foreign Affairs Minister Abdirahman Dahil Aden dismissed the move as desperate. Signals given before Trump began his second term have given Somalilanders hope that the United States may become the world's first country to recognize the self-declared republic, which has functioned as a de facto state for nearly 34 years. There is nothing they can do to stop the upcoming recognition of Somaliland, Mr. Aden posted on X in response to the letter. Well, that does it for our international news. Now let's have a look at the press.
Yes, indeed. And in the press, starting with the new vision, good news might be coming for Uganda's oil and gas industry as oil refinery construction starts in May. Museveni investors sign 14.6 trillion deal. And there is a picture there of President Museveni, Honorable Ruth Nankabirwa, and Sheikh Al Maktoum being in there after signing that deal. But also in the new vision, there are 130 jobs, 150 tender opportunities. But the new West Buganda Diocese Bishop installed, that is in the new vision, and a picture there of Eid celebrations, Muslims urged to maintain peace. Looking at matters health, why Bushenyi Pads factory has stalled. And in the new era, how China is uplifting Ugandan women. Now, let's take a look at what is in the Daily Monitor. And the story on oil is making headlines as well there. Oil refinery deal enters final lap. The pact, the government of Uganda tapped Alpha MBM investments after Albertine Graben Energy Consortium bowed out of the 15 trillion deal to build a refinery in Hoima. That is in the Daily Monitor. And a picture there on Eid celebrations calls for unity ahead of 2026 polls ring at Eid Fete. But also still in the Daily Monitor, 34% of Ugandans own fake phones, says UCC. And we are ready to hand over power today, says Omeme. Come tomorrow, Omeme will no longer be in the country of Uganda. But also the Lizard says they are nice to witness a peaceful transfer. But still in the Daily Monitor, is fasting safe for those who with chronic illnesses? But also DRC kidnaps 2 pilots from Uganda. Lastly, looking at the Daily Nation, Ruto versus Kibaki, 20 years apart, same problems. President William Ruto's first term is bringing a deja vu, and because his first term in office mirrors that of the man in whose cabinet he served, Stanley Emilio Mwai Kibaki, like the case 20 years ago at Mount Kenya, which found itself besieged as it sought to help President Kibaki retain power, now also finds itself facing a campaign to isolate the region that this time is fighting to dislodge President Ruto after a bitter falling out with the former deputy Rigathi Gachagua. But still in the Daily Nation, final betrayal of Kenyans who lost 34 billion in pyramid schemes. And I know. And in the junior sport, all set for nationals, but a picture there of Eid celebrations in Kenya and confusions as Muslims are split yet again on ending fast. And still in the Daily Nation, talks with Haiti gang leader to release body of fallen officer. And lastly, death toll in Myanmar earthquake hits 1,700. That's about it from the press side of things. Good morning, Uganda.
Well, thank you, Julie. First of all, I love the pun by the Lizard of peaceful transfer. Peaceful transfer of power. Umeme is transferring power to Uganda Electricity Distribution Company.
You see, peaceful transfer also determines there is so much for Umeme there. Buyout is a lot of money to be given.
Well, let's also have a look at the Gazette, Julie.
Yes, indeed. And in the Gazette today has the Commission of Oaths, their Act, and the Marriage Act notice, the Mining and Minerals Act and education, pre-primary, primary, and post-primary, the Advocates Act, the Companies Act, the Insolvency Act, the Copyright and Neighboring Act, regulations, notices, the Local Governments Rating Act, notices, call of shares in there, and the Trademarks Act, conditional notice. And looking at the supplements, the National Climate Change Mechanisms Amendment Regulations 2025, the Electricity Exemption from Holding License, NJ Equatorial Limited Order 2025, the Electricity Exemption from Holding License with Energy SMC Limited Order 2025, the Electricity Exemption from Holding License Chisizi Hospital Power Limited Order 2025. The Commissioners for Oaths Advocates Act Commission notice to all whom it may concern. Be known that on the 3rd day of July 2024, Luyima De Klerk, an advocate of the High Court, has been appointed to be a commissioner for oaths under the above-mentioned act for so long as he continues to practice as such advocate and commission is not revoked. And also quickly looking at another notice to all to whom these presents may come greetings. Be known that on the 24th day of December 2024, Nancha Annette, an advocate of the High Court, has been appointed to be a commissioner for oaths under the above-mentioned act for so long as she continues to practice as such advocate and the commission is not revoked. But in there is also places for celebration of marriage and in exercise of the powers conferred by Section 5 of the Marriage Act. I hereby license the place of public worship mentioned in the schedule here to be a place for the celebration of marriages. And the church is the Seventh-day Adventist Kampala Central Church in Chivulu, Tukagugube, Central Division, Kampala. That is by Honorable Norbert Mao.
All right, thank you so much, Julie, and thank you for watching, dear viewer. Now, the show does continue because we are getting into another interesting conversation, one that is a bit sad, but we are seeking to find solutions to the same, and that is 70% of schools in Uganda still punish children, and this is against the law. Now, these findings are in a report by Uwezo 2024. Now, we will come back shortly for the news bill to discuss this, but for now, here is Taras Rairi featuring Conscience, and the song is Simple Blessings. Well, a beautiful morning. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda. Welcome to this brand new week and a brand new day. Also, on this day, we will be saying goodbye to March, right?
Yes. Particular day. So, is it too early to say Happy April, or is it?
I think you're just right in time. Well, my name is Olive Monica Najuma, and the lady that is enthusiastic about the beginning of April is Julie F. Nantaba Mosisi. And of course, we have someone that keeps us balanced, and that is Robert Chirabo Nyonyitono, here to steer the ship and show us the way. I don't know if he's showing us the way, though, because women are doing all that, right? Good morning, Robert.
Welcome back.
Shots
fired. Shots fired.
Yeah, shots fired.
How are you, Robert?
You see, one of the things I mastered is the art of women.
The art of what?
The art of women.
And what did you master?
And I'm writing a book about it.
Okay.
Very soon it will be on market, I hope so.
Okay.
Titled The Art of Women. And one of the key characters in this book is actually Olive.
Oh my goodness.
So once it is on market, please make sure you get yourself a copy. It won't be very expensive, but it will be in key bookstores.
I hope that advert has been paid for.
It's not paid for, so we should go to market.
Yes,
after here.
yes.
I love your color. You're entirely putting on red.
Please do not make it political.
This,
Please do not do that.
No, I'm just talking about the color red throughout.
Okay.
And you see, there's a scripture I love in the Bible that says, "You will know them by their fruits.
Oh, wow.
But they forgot to put by their colors. Otherwise, welcome back.
Thank you, Robert.
It's a pleasure. I've missed you, by the way.
Thank you, Robert. And I am really glad to be back. One thing I can tell everyone that is watching right now is that take good care of your health. If you're told that you need to work on your iron levels, work on your iron levels, because that can actually put you down seriously. Good morning, Julie.
Good morning, Olive. Good to have you back. I share the joy, just like Robert.
I'm glad to be back.
Yeah.
How have you been?
Been well, holding fort, and it was always a good experience to step in your shoes.
Oh, and well done. You did well.
And to learn while you're away. But also, it's always good to learn from you while you're around.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. If
But
someone
wait,
told me that this morning when I woke up that Julie was going to, you know, just give me all the praises, I don't know. I should have prepared myself, but thank you.
They say give them their flowers while they can still receive them.
Is Good Morning Uganda. In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archived stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, every story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, once again, good morning and welcome to Good Morning Uganda. Now, despite the government outlawing corporal punishments in Uganda's schools, a new report by Uwezo shows that this is still going, and according to this report, 70% of schools in Uganda still punish their pupils, especially this is mostly ongoing in primary schools, but secondary schools are also not left out. So one wonders, why do schools use corporal punishments as a form of, inculcating discipline among students? But also, it's not just about discipline. They use corporal punishments where students fail in their assessments, and one wonders, if you failed to instruct it in class, will they get it through the use of strokes? Many questions that Ugandans ask, very few answers, but we seek to find solutions to this problem. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and I am with Julie F. Nantaba Musisi, with Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono. Together, join us so that we seek and find solutions to this ongoing, for lack of a better word, evil in our schools. And this is happening in both public and even private schools. So join the conversation through WhatsApp number 0709 602 592. The same number will be displayed on your screen. Now, Robert, since can I call you a fossil?
Oh wow! Wow, more shots fired.
Today I came for you. But anyway, Robert.
The book is soon going on market. No worry.
But anyway, Robert, seriously, when we think about that, when we look at this report, not even think about it, but also the many reports that we have been seeing on this very program, we've talked about corporal punishment several times. First of all, take us back to the time when corporal punishment was outlawed by the government. What situations led to the government coming forward to say, you know what, this is not legal in this country no more?
Now, it was 2016 when Ministry of Education and Sports came up with a proper circular and instruction to all heads of schools, to all district education inspectors, in every aspect, in all seminars, a circular that indicated that corporal punishment or beating or using physical harm to discipline was outlawed in schools in Uganda. 2016. So the ministry came out with that on a background that actually they had analyzed that corporal punishment was not yielding results. One, it was causing physical harm to children. Many children were missing school because of corporal punishment. A number of children were missing school because of corporal punishment, because they had sustained bodily harm. Teachers would beat these children. Some were having difficulty in walking, others difficulty in sitting. It had resulted into not only physical but also psychological torture, that a child would fear to go to school. A child would fear to attend class. For example, what are some of the areas that the teachers would use a cane to discipline students? Stealing, 48% according to this research, teachers would apply that when a child stole or was suspected of stealing something. They would look at escaping from school. That was at around 44.7. Now you get a whip. Why did you escape from school? They'll look at dishonesty. In case a teacher suspects that, well, you've been dishonesty in one way or the other as a student, as a pupil, more so in primary school, you would receive some canes for that. Then we had fighting and violence. Now, I don't know if beating or caning wasn't a form of violence, but if children fought or in any way it was seen as violence being conducted, they would go, and that would go to about 41%. And lastly, telling lies. Now, a teacher comes in class or he wants to inquire about something, believes you've lied, now you would go for caning. Now, the question here is, why is this persisting? Even after 2016, when it was outlawed. And you still go to a number of schools, and at the entrance, there is a forest of bamboos. Now, this is where the teachers go and pick canes. I went to one of the traditional schools, but I was shocked that even of late, when I was driving through, I still saw this huge forest of bamboos at the gate, where the teachers would pick and cane us for late coming. You are a child who was being driven to work, to school by your parent, but once the parent dropped you at the gate, and in case you're late and drove away, then Mr. Serwaniko would bring a bamboo and work on it.
You know, that used to perplex me, because my parent delivered me to school.
Yes, I mean,
I did come on foot, okay? And because of that, why is it that I'm the one being punished?
So
Seriously.
that tomorrow you make that alarm and
How
your father...
how much control does your child have over you?
Well, you see, that's why they would believe if the child came back and told you, I was caned, Daddy, when you dropped me, tomorrow you don't want your child to be caned. So you'd rather wake up a bit earlier, prepare them early enough to ensure that they are not caned, they reach on time.
So should we call it punishing the parent indirectly through the child?
I think it's potatoes, really. But anyway, the conversation is still ongoing. A new report by Wezo says that 70% of schools in Uganda are still punishing children using corporal punishments as a way of inculcating discipline onto the children. Now, according to the Children Act 2016, it defines corporal punishment as any punishment in which physical force is used to cause pain or injury to a child, including actions intended to belittle, humiliate, or ridicule the child. Now, still in the same report, it shows that 92% of schools are reported to use corporal punishment, and then 60.7% of schools use corporal punishment sometimes, and then 30.1% of schools never used it as a form of discipline measure. But it is still insistent. Robert did ask a question: why is this still prevalent in the country despite it being outlawed? Now, this is where I come to you, Julie. We have the law, okay? 2016 Children's Act do not punish children using corporal punishments. But then I've also seen in the description of corporal punishment, I've seen belittling and ridiculing. Now, if you went to a school where you were not beaten, I am almost 100% sure you went to a school where you were belittled and ridiculed. What would be the effects of belittling and ridiculing on the mind of a student, a child?
Esteem. A child's esteem is destroyed. This is where you find adults who are not able to express themselves fully. They're not confident in their submissions in any space.
Yes.
They are not so sure of themselves. They're not so aware of who they are. They second guess themselves. When they speak, they have to first second guess. When they contribute, they have to first second guess. When they want to take a move in life, they have to first either ask other people or second guess or stall. So generally corporal punishment really, and as you addressed it, belittling, it kills self-esteem 100%. Now if it finds a child who has a background from home that has issues at home,
where at home they are also telling them you will never amount to anything.
Yes, at home there's emotional abuse.
Yes.
At home there's a lot going on with the parents of this child, and then this child goes to school and the teachers are worsening the situation. Esteem is destroyed 100%.
Why is esteem important? Because we still have parents who say nafe batukuba.
Yes.
We were also abused, we were also, we were also beaten, and we turned out all right. But help us understand.
Are they all right though?
Changed. Yeah, help us understand.
Are
why
they all right though?
I don't know.
That's the reality. Healing is supposed to be a part of every human.
Yes.
And many times a human being who uses that language, that after all, I also went through it our entire life. After all, I was also beaten.
I turned out all right.
I turned out all right. But the reality is
there
are underlying effects. By the time you make such an utterance, it means that you never healed.
And also,
that means you're carrying your burdens or your load and handing it to your child.
Now the bad thing with
Bible
this,
says,
maybe just
Robert, just a moment. The Bible says, spare the rod and spoil the child.
And I believe there's
so
also
what
a balance
rod
to
is
it.
this Bible talking about? Is it my sapatu umoja? Is it the stick, the bamboos Robert was talking about? Is it sitting someone down and correcting them with love? Is it gentle parenting? What exactly?
Now, I believe there are different forms of parenting. I'm not yet a parent, but many times I imagine what I'll be like as a mother. Or there are things I see with children, nieces and nephews, and I'm like, ha! If I were your mother. So I believe there's a balance to it, that you do not allow a child to control you as a parent. That means there are boundaries you place. Just as you've used the Bible, allow me go back to the same space, that if you read the Bible, you realize that even our Creator creates boundaries around us.
Like the fish for Jonah.
As to how far we should go with life. There are limitations, and in case we cross them, there are always repercussions. So to a child, that means the way you punish should not necessarily intend to kill their esteem, but rather to teach them. In fact, you even hold I've learned of parents that when they're, for example, caning you 1 to 3 canes, they'll first ask you, what did you do? Do you know why I'm holding this cane? So
and
that
actually, that's the best way to
Yes.
punish a child.
Yes.
They need to know what they did, and that actions have consequences.
Yes.
And top of a kuta, you don't need to
no, you know,
kill.
it's 1, 2, 3 strokes of a cane.
Yeah.
But this child is receiving the memo that, oh, when I do ABC, this is part of life. There are always repercussions to what I do.
Thank you, Julie. Now, Robert, looking at our act that we have, the law and everything, how does Uganda's approach compare with other countries that have successfully eliminated corporal punishment in schools?
Well, our approach, because it has a traditional background, one of the challenges we still suffer with is the white man left. But much of the way he was doing things, we are still coping up to now. Our education system
It's still colonial.
is still colonial, despite a few changes made.
Colonial, where before colonialism there was slavery.
There was slavery.
Thank you.
And
Never
now,
thought about
when
it
they
like
came
that.
in, yes, when this white man left, he looked at a black person's correction. Look at our prisons. They're just changing today. Prisoners would be beaten. Up to now, in some few remote cases, this happened. So the white man left correction to be physical harm. Tax defaulters, before graduation tax was removed, the Ruben Chibira was can tell you who are there. By then, men would be, how do you arrest a fellow man? Put on ropes, you know, held, you know,
And belittle them.
belittled, beaten. So the colonial master slavery mind was left with us. Now, in teacher training institutions by then, still this went on. I love that graphics on set. Still this went on. See how that child is scared by just seeing a teacher holding a cane. Now,
Sometimes it's even just the figure of a
and
parent.
teachers were taught, even when training a teacher, to have a stick. A blackboard, you must have a stick, you know. So we mistake fear for respect. A good teacher moves around the compound bragging with a bamboo, a stick. So you see, one of the things the missionary used here was intimidation to win. If you remember your history, they would parade tanks and move around doing nothing. Many soldiers, so they intimidate. So when the white man left, the African misinterpreted fear for respect. And I see this sometimes even in mature men, mature women. A man comes home and enjoys children running under the bed. Daddy packs the car, everyone goes and sleeps.
Actually, Robert, if you, when you say that, you also remind me that it's the same pathway that was used to use indirect rule.
Yes.
Have someone who looks like you, give them authority so that they feel that they're in control, and exercise that authority ruthlessly like that,
Yes.
which poured down to
So
generations.
that is the history that is living with us up to today.
Okay, so do we have any African countries that we can use as a yardstick to say, in this country, they successfully eroded corporal punishment from their schools? Do we have any? Because I've been trying to read around, and some of the countries where I think they are a bit progressive in different facets of life, I've seen that it is theoretically there, but not enforced. So do we have anyone to look at and say, you know what, these people did it, maybe we can emulate this and that to drive it outside of our
I
schools?
think our brothers in Rwanda are trying.
It is theoretically still.
But theoretically
Just as it
still.
is here, right?
Here
Just
in
as it
Uganda, it only happens when the worst happens. If a video circulates, if a child is beaten
And
hospitalized, then we go to our law books and say, according to section, I'm now the judge of the penal code. This and this, I sentence you to these years in prison. But where we've not been able, the camera, to get them, we have not been able to have worse things happening. Are you aware that there are children in our Ugandan schools today who cannot sit comfortably?
Because of the punishment.
Because they
now,
were
Robert,
beaten and
thank you so much for mentioning that. I would like to know, going to you, Julie, what are some of the consequences on corporal punishments in children? We talked about the mental, but let's talk about how it affects their character, their discipline, and their outlook on life.
Now, as I was actually studying on that Owezo report, one of the experts mentioned that children who were affected by corporal punishments, and they are currently in working in spaces of law, they're the very people who actually want to get word out of people by beating, terrible beating. So in other words, when someone is treated through the system of corporal punishments, to them it's normal, and they'll still administer it to whoever they are able to when they are older and they have authority. They're
It's
in
a
places
means
of
to an end.
Yeah, it's a means
Does
to,
that
and
say
it's
anything
okay.
about members of parliament exchanging blows?
Perhaps so, because they are all Ugandans.
Some
and
in security forces, if they need to get evidence from you.
Yes.
And the president has been against this, where a person is tortured to the extent of saying, no, I have a tanker in my house, just so that they don't beat him anymore. Some of the husbands we are talking about today,
who beat
the wives because they know that the best way to punish you is beating you up. You will be shocked being told an engineer beats a wife, and his father may have never done it, but because the school this was happening.
But also,
So,
if you
parents, actually, before we continue, please join the conversation on our WhatsApp number 773-213-275, 773-213-275. Let's hear from you. Corporal punishment is still existent in our schools in Uganda. Despite being outlawed by the government in 2016, we have the Children Act that was gazetted in 2016. But according to a new report by Uwezo, 70% of our schools in Uganda still use corporal punishment as a form of discipline. But also it takes other facets, and I believe one or two people have experienced this. This is the ridicule, the humiliation. I have gone through that. I remember in primary school this happened to me, and I don't think I'm alone. So,
and you know what is very ashaming?
Yeah.
I know of school heads, public and private, who will tell you, in our school, we cane. If you don't want, take your child elsewhere.
that's the type of school I attended for high
That's
school.
what,
If you don't want-
what brings me to the next question,
Yes.
Robert, Julie. What's the responsibility parents have when it comes to holding schools accountable when it comes to corporal punishment? Because if at my home I do not use corporal punishment as a form of discipline for my children, but then I take them to school and I just agree, okay, that's how the school does. Are we as parents letting our children down by allowing schools to do as they please, or we should also go by the same the argument that every place has its own rules and regulations, and if corporal punishment is part of it, then we should just agree and bow and accept.
You know, like I
things as they
always
are.
say that knowledge is power, and when you know the law, you're empowered.
Okay.
So that means as a parent, as you take your child to school, it's the school you've chosen because you know the ABC values you
Do
want.
they always know though?
Parents, that's the problem. Most parents do not know the law. So even when they go to
Do
a
they
particular...
always know that the schools use corporal punishment as a form of discipline?
Because their children, I believe, tell them.
Okay.
I believe their children have these conversations with them that, oh, this and this happened at school and I was caned. Or this and this happened at school and I was beaten, I was caned, I was, So through these conversations with children, parents are able to know and take this issue to school. You go to school and say that this is illegal. And I know my law. If at all you want me to exercise the law, I will, because I give you my money. You know? So I believe that if parents are well versed with the law, they are empowered. And not just as individuals, but think of associations like the PTAs. This is where things like this are supposed to be addressed, so that our school is brought to the awareness that children are not supposed to be beaten. It's
Now,
according to the law.
I like your argument, Julie, but Robert, what do you think about Julie's argument? Because the other thing we need to note is that these are the same parents, especially Okay, not all millennial parents, but many that come from the years before, I forget what they're called, have this mindset. But Kuba, we were beaten, we turned out all right.
That's
now,
the point of
based
healing.
on her argument, do you think that if you're dealing with parents that have that same mindset, even if they know the law, will they change anything?
First, we must know we are talking about an illegality. Now, an illegality is not something we should bargain over. It is something we should enforce.
That means even you as a parent, you can easily be taken in.
Because even, you see, the laws are clear. Aiding or abetting crime is an offense in our country. Even concealing is an offense. Because you know something wrong is happening, you are aware. But you're not reporting it to the relevant authorities. I know of parents, they come and they cane their child on an assembly. They also have to be put in these vehicles to police. So
this is their child. The child does not belong to
but if it is your child, according to the laws of Uganda, that child is not supposed to be experiencing corporal punishment. You come and cane thorough and even sweat, you're beating your child. Now, this illegality, school heads must face arrest.
Okay.
You know, with the example, Robert has shared, it reminds me of this same thing happened in my school, but the person who administered the punishment to their child was a government official.
So everyone couldn't say nothing because this is a government official. Your parting remarks, Julie?
Well, corporal punishment should be stopped. We want a generation of children who are independent mentally, but also well directed. They know the difference from wrong and right. They are mentally independent, but in a rightful boundary, without fear, right? So let's raise our children in love and not fear.
Okay. And Robert, your parting remarks?
Minister of Education and Sports, we cannot fail to implement a law. We need, where possible, sacrificial lambs or set precedent. And when we set that precedent, we shall outlaw corporal punishment in our schools.
Okay. Now, Uwezo did stress that nurturing values and life skills as part of children's early learning is equally important because, as we mentioned earlier, some of the reasons why children get punished are stealing, lying, to mention but a few. But they say that schools and homes should not only focus on literacy and numeracy, but also good values among the children. And I think that's where the conversation will end. Now we are going to take a short break. When we come back, we have Good Morning Uganda Tourism Express with Zakia Lucky. She has a guest. It's going to be an interesting conversation. And later on, Julie will give us business updates. But later on, government's move to centralize payment of school fees by public schools. I'll be speaking to Philbert Baguma. Stick around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah yo, baby dondolo.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Mascari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Talking about failing in school, I remember I was one of those
Hybrid.
students that used to go back home and
Thank
tell
you.
my dad
This is
school
the
is
order.
bad and take him around, but it was all about being kind and going, of course, back home with a red bad. It was still dangerous and very bad, but yeah, it's nice that we have a call against it. Anyways, my name is Zakia Lucky and welcome on the GMU Tourism Express. Of course, welcome back from ED. I hope this time round you received a call. I've seen on social media people saying, when you call your Muslim friend on ED, they're either hanging up or ignoring you. But this time round, I hope it all went well. Well, today we'll be discussing a very exciting topic, which is the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo. And I'm glad that today I have a guest with me in the house who is the Commissioner in the Tourism Development Department in the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities. We're happy to have you, Commissioner.
Thank you so much, Zaki. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, sir.
Right.
Yes, please introduce yourself.
My name's Liazi Vivian. I work as the Commissioner Tourism Development in the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities.
Amazing. Over the years, I have also attended Powate, and it has been that expo that is vibrant in our country. But I want people to understand what Powate is, or also get to understand what happens. And first and foremost, Powate is the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo, and this is going to be the 9th edition.
9th edition, yes.
Yes, so please tell us, what is Powate about and what is Powate itself?
Yes, you rightly mentioned the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo. We are in the 9th edition now. It's a marketplace for tourism, where tour operators, service providers, hoteliers, and everybody within the tourism value chain comes together to trade business. It is also an opportunity for people to learn more about tourism. Those who would like to book their next trip, those who would like to know where the best places to go are, it is the place to be. This time round we're going to be in Munyonyo. We've been in Munyonyo now, third round, in the big convention center that has been built there. So we'll be in Munyonyo between the 21st and 24th of May, and we welcome everyone to come and be part of this exposition, learn more about tourism. If you'd like to invest in tourism, for instance, come and learn about what it takes to invest in tourism. Talk to the different service providers, talk to investors in tourism. There will be people in financing tourism, those who can mobilize capital for you. Quite an exciting place to be this May 21st to the 24th.
There's something I love about Poate. It's a mixture of cultures. I have experienced Karamoja on ground.
Oh, yes.
And I believe so many Ugandans have not had a chance to actually go to Karamoja itself. But when you're at Poate, you get the feel of who these people are. And it's not only Ugandans, it has expanded to international people coming in for this event. You said this is the 9th edition.
Right.
What is it that we should look forward for, or what we have not seen in the past years that is going to be happening in this edition?
First of all, there is a lot of interest, especially from the different regions of the country. You said you had a good experience about the Karamojong culture. Sure. Really now, almost all the cultures will be there from across the country. But interestingly, also the regional neighbors are going to be around. People from Rwanda, people from Tanzania, people from Kenya, people from Sudan, Congo. They will be there exhibiting and also showcasing the very best that they do have. This time round, especially for those interested in investing in tourism, we've created what we call a deal house. People into financing tourism are going to be there, and you can talk to them. Say, I have my small lodge, I would like to expand, or I would like to start up a lodge or a hotel. And they will be able to give you the best advice. The people who are into supplying equipment to these facilities are going to be there. And the exhibition is rich. It has all the suppliers that you would like to talk about. So really people into investment are going to benefit greatly. But also people who are interested in finding out, you know, where should I go? Where should the next deal be? And this is what really Expo is about, to tell you where the best places to visit during the year are. I don't know what your plans are, but definitely anyone out there who would like to visit the best places in the country, everybody into the travel trade is going to be there to tell you this is the best place to go to. We have invited almost 100 travel trade, international travel trade, to come to the country and interface with our own local management suppliers, so that you know, those who are selling tourism, international tourism into Uganda, are able to appreciate the best that is in the country, but also able to interface with our local tourism operators. Yes.
So I believe this is an opportunity for the locals to tap into, especially those that are doing business, like you said. How are they going to be able to tap into these opportunities, especially the locals that are going to be here, since you've given them the platform and the people, you've brought them to them? Yeah,
like we said, we are bringing the international travel traders to come to the country. One, experience the country. They are able to see the very best that they are selling to their clients out there, but also an opportunity for especially the young tour operators to interface with this travel trade and create deals. You know, normally what happens in the tourism industry, you have somebody who is aggregating tourists out there in the source markets, and is now looking for a ground operator to help them. But the ground operators at times find problems cash-wise, resource-wise, to go all over the world looking for these aggregators. So what Poate really does, it brings the market to you and you interface with it. And it's always a physical interface. So those who have registered will match make and able to talk to those top travel operators and do business. Yes.
Do they also get a chance to take them around the country, probably?
Yes, a lot of farm trips have been organized during that period. We will have some coming in before the 21st. Those are the pre-tours. And we'll have others coming in thereafter, the post-tours, taking them all over the country and appreciating the very best that we have in this country. So we'll go to the deep west, we'll go to the east, we'll go to the south, the north. Talk of a holistic representation of the country, that will do.
Absolutely. Yes. You talked about registering, for those that have registered. And I suppose there's a viewer out there who didn't know about this one, but would like to be a part of it or experience it. How can they register?
We are going digital. You know, we are going digital all over. So I would encourage people to go to poate2025.com. Poate2025.com. That's Poate CTE2025.com. Reach there. It's a very user-friendly application, and register. And for trade visitors, those who want to go to Munyonyo and be able to see what is going on in the exhibition, in the talks, we are having quite a number of talks on regional integration and tourism. We're having talks on invest tourism. We're having talks on marketing tourism. As long as you register, you come and participate. For the exhibitors, there will be a small cost for the exhibition, but we encourage them, if you would like to come and and exhibit, come and do exhibit as much as you can. And for those in the travel trade, join the matchmaking portal after registration, and again, you will be able to interact with the travel trade as best as possible.
And what initiatives are being implemented to ensure that the event has a positive impact onto the people or even the environment?
That's a very nice area that you've touched. The theme that we have adopted this time around is tourism and sustainable transformation. We are all talking about, you know, environmental degradation as a problem, climate change as a problem. So we are adopting those principles that lead us there. I did talk about moving into the digital revolution. We are kind of discouraging paperwork. So, you know, go digital. You reach there and you'll see that a lot of paper, you know, is not encouraged as much as possible. Water, we are not encouraging a lot of plastic bottles. And there are quite a number of environmental initiatives that will be spreading out there, telling people about using alternative sources of power and the like. Trying to create that sustainable transition within the tourism industry. So it will be the cutting theme that will be amplifying during that time.
It is nice that the theme itself is in connection to climate change and seeing that many people are taking up spaces like this, especially to address it. When we see it and the floods come up, we do not know where these things are coming from. Yet in actual sense, they're coming from little things like using plastic bottles or even trashing poorly. So what is it that you think a viewer should know about Poate?
Poate, like we said, is a marketplace for tourism. Just like you would go to the market and buy tomatoes and the like, this time you're buying experiences. You're buying a destination experience. And Uganda has the opportunity of bringing the world to the country and telling them the very best that we have in the country. It also has the opportunity of getting the world travel traders interact with our own travel traders and create that mix that will help selling the destination. But more importantly as well, we are selling the destination. We are showcasing the destination. We are showcasing the different regions like we have just talked about, so that people appreciate them a little more. Little do people know of spaces outside their normal, you know, comfort and environment. And I do encourage Ugandans to actually move around and appreciate the beauty that we have all over the country. This will be an opportunity for you to see what the world and what the country has best to show.
And is this experience going to be free of charge?
Oh yes, as long as you register, we invite you to come. And as you can recognize, you need to register early because the spaces are not that many anyway. But register and express your interest in coming to this experience. Like I said, with the exhibitors, definitely there will be a bit of cost of the exhibition, and that is very well laid out on the platform for whichever space that you need. And again, I do encourage, if you're interested to exhibit, hurry up because the places are actually running out.
Yeah, the opportunity is here. Hurry up so that you're not left behind.
Yes.
And what message would you like to leave for the Ugandans?
One, in regard to Poate, we call upon you to take advantage of this marketplace that we are creating, May 21st to the 24th. Please do come and be part of the conversation. We are going to be talking about regional tourism. How do we tour the region and amplify tourism in the region? We're going to be talking about investing in tourism. How do you become part of the investment in tourism and benefit from tourism investment? We'll also talk about marketing tourism. How do you market? How do you access the market? These are great conversations that you should be part of. Those interested in seeing what the suppliers have out there, we're calling you to come and be part of this conversation, see what we have to showcase. And on the last day, we'll have the Pearl Festival. That is on the 24th of May, still in Munyonyo. And again, it will be an explosion of music, dance, culture, and so on and so forth. So on the 24th, open day, please do come. We'll be there.
Is that like the after party?
The real party.
Yes, I know.
Big party.
I know what Ugandans can be when it comes to parties. They will definitely come through for that. At least that is a catch for them.
Please, please, please. It's one of the best experiences that you will have. On the 24th, that will be a Saturday in Munyonyo. There will be boating races, there will be fashion shows, there will be cultural experiences, and we'll continue the party from there.
Amazing. That already sounds exciting. Like I told you, I have attended this, and I have also attended the launch. I remember something being mentioned on how to grow your business. If you have a small business, how can you grow it to bigger business? Or how would you want it to become probably a Cafe Javas tomorrow or a KFC, which is, I think is a good opportunity for people in the business spaces or even those that are starting business. It is a space that you can learn from. It is a space that you can get to meet people that you've not been able to meet and tap into those opportunities. Make it a point to be there. It is time to mark your calendar and not miss out. You heard it is free, and register on time before all the spots are gone. So make sure you come through, and I will be leaving you for Julie, who is coming in for the business segment. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Zakia Laki, for that amazing interview regarding Poate. Very interesting one, and looking forward to the 9th edition of the Poate. But let's look at matters business. My name is Julie Nantabamusisi, and we are starting off with matters oil. The Ugandan government has signed a landmark oil refinery agreement with Alpha MBM Investments from the United Arab Emirates. The deal grants Alpha MBM a 60% stake in the refinery project, while the Ugandan oil company retains 40% share. The signing of the 60,000 barrel per day crude oil refinery deal was witnessed by the President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni at State House Entebbe, and it marks a major milestone in Uganda's journey toward energy independence and industrialization. President Museveni, who praised the UAE investors for their enterprising spirit, warned government officials against frustrating investors with bureaucratic delays. The refinery project will include a state-of-the-art refinery complex in Kabale, Hoima, designed to process 60,000 barrels of crude oil per day, a modern storage and terminal in Namwabula, Mpigi district, and the other components are a 212-kilometer multi-product pipeline linking the refinery to the storage terminal. Dr. Ruth Nankabirwa, the Minister of Energy Mineral Development, described the new development as an initiative that will not only enhance Uganda's energy security but also catalyze economic transformation. The refinery project will fully comply with international environment, health and safety standards, integrating modern technologies to minimize environmental impact. Besides the oil deal, Uganda and the UAE investors also signed 5 other agreements in various sectors, including the aviation sector, tree planting and digital land management system, logistics cargo hubs and storage chain facilities, a comprehensive digital payment system for government transactions, streamlining tax collections and financial services, and others. Now turning to matters Umeme, seeing as tomorrow is the 1st of April, the electricity distribution company Umeme leaves business after its concession agreement naturally ended. But what lies ahead as the Uganda Electricity Distribution Company picks up from the pieces as Umeme quits? In 2011, government shied away from the costs of terminating the contract of Umeme after several investigations, including an ad hoc committee of parliament at the Salim Saleh Commission recommended that the concession be ended accordingly. Umeme's 20-year concession ended naturally on 28 February 2025, and the 1-month transition, according to the agreement, ends on Monday, 31st March 2025, which is today. The country is seemingly picking from the old wounds. This follows the Auditor General's report, which cemented the buyout cost to $118 million US dollars, contrary to the $190 million US dollars passed by Parliament and $127 million US dollars submitted by the Electricity Regulatory Authority. So what lies ahead of the Umeme exit? UEDCL will be required to take over all capital investments to maintain efficient continuity of what Umeme has been doing. A recent report of the Parliamentary Committee on National Economy reveals that there is need to avail UEDCL with adequate financing to recruit and train human resource, maintain the already established infrastructure, and clear all the outstanding liabilities inherited from Umeme. UEDCL requires capitalization worth $50 million US dollars for initial investment after Umeme has left, since the tariff approved by ERA shall only enable them to fund operations and maintenance of inherited assets from Umeme. But this amount is not yet secured, implying that UEDCL will not carry out any additional investments in electricity distribution. 31st March is today and 1st April is tomorrow. Hopefully Uganda does not go darker. But let's move on to matters innovation and looking at Uganda social enterprise Ropa-Free, which has developed groundbreaking mosquito repellent oil that is saving lives and promoting economic growth. Ministry of Health statistics show that malaria kills over 100,000 annually, mostly young children, pregnant mothers and the elderly. Now, the Ropa-Free's innovative repellent oil made from pure organic essential oils could be a game changer in the fight against malaria. Ropa-Free Chief Executive Officer Joseph Kawoya Kasumba says to create awareness, Ropa-Free has organized a walk aerobics concert against malaria on 5th April 2025. And malaria being a common conversation in these days, especially, at least around me, there's a lot going on. I think this awareness is timely. But let's look at matters Forex. And as of 28th March 2025, the US dollar opened at 3,660.14 and was buying at that, dropping value there from 27th. And selling at 3,670.14. By midday, it was buying at 3,659.86 and selling at 3,669.86. and it closed in at 3,658.32 and selling at 3,668.32. Now the pound was buying at 4,733.87, dropped a bit of value from the day before, and selling at 4,746.81. The euro was buying at 3,946.0, dropped value there as well from the day before, and selling at 3,957.38. The Kenyan shilling did maintain at 28.28, buying and selling at 28.36, and the Tanzanian shilling dropped there, buying at 1.37 and selling at 1.37, and the South African rand was buying at 200.14, dropped as well, and selling at 200.68. Well, that marks it for today's business news on GMU Business. Good Morning Uganda does continue. Oliver is coming up with a conversation regarding government centralizing school fees for public schools. One to look forward to. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
The government's core mandate is to maintain law and order, safeguard citizens' rights, and provide essential public services.
Remember, one of the pillars of a roadmap is innovation and entrepreneurship.
There has been this question of how are you protecting our indigenous seed?
It's going to be a tall project. That answers somebody's question.
For the past 20 weeks, the front bench has brought you insightful discussions on governance, security, healthcare, justice and commerce.
When you go through this complicated procedure, involve the lawyers, you bring the case against him, the judge will hear you out and pass judgment, and you're out of court in record time.
We remain committed to keeping you informed and engaged on key national matters.
So these are huge, these are powerful organizations which now Uganda chairs. Why don't you come together?
If we haven't migrated to the e-card because of various reasons, including that not all the people of Uganda have smartphones.
You can sit in your house, apply for a passport. If you have a Ugandan who has a successful logistics firm in the US, it means he can come to Uganda and do a lot more.
Now airing every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with me, Jethro Kasaiji, your interface with the government only on your public broadcaster, UBC, Inspiring Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
I'll call you every day, yeah yo, baby dondolo.
You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000 or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100*21# and select daily or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
Across Uganda, the parish development model is paving the way for prosperity, helping families transform their lives through strategic farming practices, like the 4-acre model.
In our Chibaro of 1996, we said first acre, put coffee. Second acre, fruits. The third acre, you put pasture for dairy cows. The fourth acre, for food, cassava. The good thing is that now cassava is also becoming a very good cash product, but at least for food. Then, mind you, the backyard. You put poultry for eggs, you put piggery.
I'm in a 1-acre plot of land. In this 1 acre, Your Excellency, I practice this banana plantation. I also practice coffee. I also have dairy, Your Excellency. every month, Your Excellency, I get 500,000 from these bunches.
The 7 activities we recommended, they have a big global demand.
We have 10,000 Nile tilapia fish and 10,000 African catfish. And when we sell our 10,000 tilapia, we get in one harvest 20 million shillings.
Fruits, especially capsule, which is cold, can do very high value crops like apples. And then finally, those who are near the wetlands, like the ones in the Bukit who are wasting the wetlands, they should do fish farming, not in the center of the swamp, but at the edge of the swamp.
From coffee farms to fish ponds, the 4-acre model is empowering Ugandans to transform their lives. The Parish Development Model is your pathway to wealth creation. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and our window to the world, holding the mirror of our history. With 4 TV stations and 11 radio channels spanning 27 languages, they stand as guardians of information, defenders of truth. With Maskari Heritage Advantage, they uphold every citizen's right to reliable and free information. Their archive stories shaped our past and illuminate our present. Yet now, as new challenges arise and the world evolves, their mission faces its greatest test yet. Be part of our journey and let's navigate the unknown, uncover the untold, and safeguard our future together. Tune into your public broadcaster, for it is the intersection of trust and truth. Because to UBC, your story, and every voice matters. UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Amina gange ndetibona Kiranda Amina mu company eya WIB Uganda Limited ndi member. Wemba member company eno weyeida twalinga tutuli bulungi nga abashala abe wakawaka. Abashala abe wakawaka tuemera kubaami baife nga bonkana abajamu nandanga twidi nti abashala tibakozesa ki nanda. UN Women weyeida yatuteekateeka yatwegesa okulunda engege nga abashala. Twatandika beno okudulunda n'okudirisa n'okolaki. Twafuna mu ng'abakyala ababujiri district. Abakyala ababujiri district so tuli abakyala 14 abakola project eya WIB. Abakyala 14 twayawula mu sectors. Mulimu abakyala ba production, abaliisa, mwaba abakyala ba validation, abongera engege omutindo bayongerako omutindo. Twaba n'abakyala ba harvesting, aba harvestinga. Twaba n'abakyala abakola aba marketing. Sector dona diri trained era didi kyedikola ki kyedikola. Project eno tufunye mu ng'abakyala. Government yaife ne ya Uganda njebaza okujja kwekujanga batulingirira mu ng'abakyala abana Uganda. Eri kujanga eturobingira ebibiina bingi. We have UWeb, baleta Parish Development Model, we have Myoga. Byona biri kwida muki mu bakyala oba mu bantu abaki aba Uganda.
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the Parish Development Model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The Parish Development Model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. Wenda yangu wa.
PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, it is Good Morning Uganda. Now time is for Agenda, where we speak to policy makers and opinion leaders regarding different conversations, especially those that aggrieve or sometimes spark public debate or are sparking public debate in the country. Now, the government of Uganda, in a move that is sparking debate on different platforms and also different rooms and different boards, the government is moving to centralize the collection of school fees for all public schools. Now, like I earlier shared early in the morning, the Muslims are saying, that is the Uganda Muslim Education Association, is saying that they will not be part and parcel of this. But also the Church of Uganda, and that is according to the Most Reverend Stephen Kazimba Mugalu, the Church of Uganda, in a board meeting that sat, the board on education, also resolved that Church of Uganda schools are not public schools. But what is compelling the government to make this move to centralize the collection of school fees from all public schools into a consolidated fund using Uganda Revenue Authority? What is the rationale behind this? What compelled the government to make this move, or even suggestion? It's still a suggestion, but already it is being fought, it is being disagreed with by many players in the education sector. Now, to answer those questions and many more is Mr. William Kayongo, who is the Principal Education Officer, Wakiso District. My name is Olive Monica Najuma, and I am with Julie Nantaba Mosisi, and together we will get to the bottom of this. Should the government centralize the payment of school fees, or should schools retain their autonomy? Good morning, Mr. Kayongo.
Good morning, Ms. Najuma.
Well, we are glad to have you on Good Morning Uganda. And as a person that has been in the education sector for quite some time, one of the schools that you used to be a headmaster of, that is a Budo Junior Primary School. Given that the background of a school of that nature, it is the background of that school, you'd find that there is the church behind it, there was the kingdom behind it. But then looking at all the other schools as well, look at a school like Mengo SS, which is a missionary school. You look at schools, let's say like Kawempe Muslim School, which is backed by the Muslim sect, and putting all those into consideration, and then the move by the government to centralize payment of school fees, it begs for the question, what instigated this move?
I do not really know where government is coming from to decide on this policy. I want to give a background of the schools that we call public schools. In my opinion, it's only the schools which we now call seed schools, and these are secondary schools, that can be really termed as government school or public schools. But schools like King's College Budo, like Mengo Secondary School, like Gaza High School, are called government-aided schools. government is only coming in to help the founders. But these are government-aided schools. So the founders have got a very, very big responsibility over these schools. In my opinion, if government is contemplating such a policy, there needs to be wider consultation so that all these bodies that founded these schools can be brought on board. What is the current situation?
Okay.
The current situation is that government manages secondary schools via boards of governors. The board of governors runs the secondary school on behalf of government, and this is its composition. The foundation body is the first to nominate members to the board of governors, and the chairperson must be a member nominated by the foundation body. That shows the responsibility of the board of governors of the foundation body on the board of governors. In primary schools, we have what is called the school management committee. And like the board of governors, the foundation body nominates the biggest number to the school management committee. Now, if government, so what is happening now is that a school runs under the board of governors. If you centralize the collection of school fees, you are disempowering. You are disempowering the board of governors, which is a statutory body that runs the school on behalf of government. You are disempowering the school management committee, which runs the school on behalf of government. In my opinion, that is the starting point. That such a policy should have had wider consultation of the different foundation bodies. Look at Mengo Secondary School. The truth is that Mengo Secondary School and King's College Budo are, in the beginning, were the same school. Learners would start off in Mengo Senior, would start off in Mengo Senior School, then they would move over and complete their course in King's College Budo. So that was the arrangement of the foundation body. So if you have not consulted and if you have not got the consent of the foundation body, such a policy is bound to meet a lot of resistance.
Okay, Mr. Kayongo, still with you. What is the intended purpose of the policy according to government officials?
Judging by statements that have been done over radio, over the newspapers, and on TV regarding the way schools are charging school fees, I think there is a lot of talk that what officials are calling public schools deviating from state fees for these particular schools. Now, I want to bring in another element of what are called government-aided schools. Government has never taken over responsibility for any boarding section of any boarding element in either primary school or secondary school. King's College Budo is a government-aided secondary school. But the boarding element in King's College Budo has always been a private arrangement. So when we say Uganda Revenue Authority is going to start collecting the state fees, in my considered opinion, we should be talking about the statutory fees that are charged on the learners and not the boarding element and all that goes is running the boarding element. In fact, I think up to 19, it could be up to about 1990. Those statutory fees used to be collected by schools, then they would deposit that money on the accounts of local government. After depositing those statutory fees on accounts of local government, schools would then present their budget and start spending with permission from the chief administrative officers, from the town clerks of municipalities. That arrangement used to be there up to about 1990. I am not very sure of the exact date. But that would be the amount of money that was set by government to run schools as day schools. But the boarding element and all the monies that go into running the boarding element was left to the school management committees and the board of governors. So, if we are looking at a day school that is deviating from the amount of money that is set by government, yes, I understand where government is coming from. But there is also a rider to this problem. The amount of money that is set by government, it does not cater for lunch even for the primary schools, even for what we call government schools, government secondary schools. The lunch element is not catered for. So it's the board of governors and it is the school management committee that determines the amount of money that will be able to help learners have some kind of lunch in these schools. So this is part of the reasons why many learners in government-aided day schools are not performing well because many of them go hungry in the afternoon and they are sleeping during lessons. Their brain, and I think it's possible that we are abusing these young learners because we teach them when their brains have not been fed. This is the problem. So the large element in what are called public schools, the boarding element in what are called government-aided schools is the sole responsibility of the board of governors, it's the sole responsibility of the school management committee. So it's the tuition buying the funds for buying stationery, the funds for running the head teacher's office, the funds for a little little bit of security, funds for running co-curricular activities that government would be speaking about when we say Uganda Revenue Authority should take over the responsibility.
All right.
It's a complicated issue.
All right, that the picture you've painted there speaks a lot into the issue of excellence that these schools have been holding and how best it can be sustained if systems changed. But let's look at the side of, for example, government public universities, not public aided. And thank you very much for that lesson that you've taught us at the beginning. For looking at public universities that are funded by the government, there is a challenge of delay. And we've seen the experience of being in public universities and the challenge that comes, the experience that comes with delayed funds. How much do you think it will affect schools, secondary schools, if at all now school fees collection is centralized?
Going by what is going on today, that public universities end up not being able to implement policies because government has delayed in funding them, and at the back of our mind knowing that some of the funding that has been helping us from the USA is no longer going to come. I'll tell you, at Budo Junior School, I think 75% of the original buildings at Budo Junior School were constructed by USAID. Likewise, buildings were built at King's College Budo at Gaza High School by USAID. Yes, I understand that recently with most buildings are now being put up with the assistance of parents. But USAID used to be a big contributor. But even most recently, some funding like running workshops to acclimatize teachers with a new curriculum, such workshops have been funded with funding from the USAID and other donor agencies. Now, we are looking at a complicated situation. We are looking at a complicated situation where we still need a lot of consultation. Have we been able to talk to our teachers of primary schools? Have we been able to talk to their associations? This begs a lot of questioning.
All right. Now, traditional schools have been accused of increasing school fees every year, and some of which have been said that they have deposit fees of about 3 million roughly, even before they give a parent an admission letter, which seems like they shot themselves in the foot that led the government to make this decision. So what solutions would you advise right now, would you advise to the government to deal with this issue without having a centralized system?
In my opinion, we need to sit at the round table and invite representatives of boards of governors of secondary schools across the country, representatives of school management committees across the country, and education officers, inspectors of schools, who really know the pain and the difficulties that are running in our primary schools, in our secondary schools. Such round table talking and frank discussion would be able to bring out all the nitty-gritty of what, if we are implementing this policy, what would you have, the way that perhaps such a policy would be implemented. But in the beginning, in my opinion, first and foremost, we need to change the Education Act, because the current Education Act does not speak about lunch, does not speak about the boarding element, and the current Education Act is silent about quality. If a board, even the smallest school like a Chitemu Primary School where I went for primary school in Namutamba, today demands that learners should produce quality, and that quality comes from, in addition to normal teaching, we need a lot of testing and retesting. That testing and retesting requires that parents contribute a little more money than the statutory fees. Those small schools in the villages require, if in many of these schools, the number of teachers that have been deployed to these schools by government are not enough, and quite often the head teachers have to employ extra private staff who are funded by the parents. In many of these schools, there is no accommodation. The head teachers have to rent accommodation away from the school campus. And all this funding is what constitutes what we say head teachers are overcharging parents away from the statutory fees. We who go to the schools, we who listen to these teachers find a lot more than what is on the surface.
Okay, Mr. Kayongo, let's look at some of the reasons the government is citing for the as a reason for this proposal and this move. Now, according to my understanding, the Ministry of Education and Sports is moving to have school fees collection centralized by July 1st, 2025. And according to officials at the ministry, they are saying that the move is aimed at curbing corruption and mismanagement that is occurring presently in schools. Now, one of the key players in Uganda, and one whose sect is a leader of many schools, that is the Church of Uganda, and that is the Most Reverend Stephen Kazimba Mugalu. He did mention that we, and I quote, "we are against the proposal because it will cripple school development. We need to find alternative solutions to address the issues of corruption and financial mismanagement." Now, in your perspective, Mr. Kayongo, what other solutions should government consider in a bid to curb corruption and financial mismanagement in schools? Because this is what they're raising as the main reason as to why they're centralizing school fees collection.
Currently, if we are looking at curbing corruption, then the supervision element by the education officers, by the ministries, should be improved. Now, what do we need to do? At one time, Budo Junior School was under Mpigi, and Mpigi used to be even in almost at Rueda, Chaigomba, Mitiana, almost at Bombo. And if you have only 3 education officers and inspectors of schools going to these areas, then the supervision element cannot be properly enforced. Right now, we have got performance agreements that are signed with head teachers at the beginning of the year, and which performance agreements are monitored in the middle of the year, and which performance agreements are evaluated at the end of the year. We also have a supplementary evaluation process for local governments by the Prime Minister's office. All these are aimed at curbing corruption. All these are aimed at bringing about efficiency and value for money. If we are really aimed at curbing corruption, then a little more money should be spent on supervision by appointing slightly more officers at the local government, and the Ministry of Education, which officers could be placed. We have a body which is called the Directorate of Educational Standards. We also have the Inspectorate of Government. Perhaps a little more officers would be posted at regional levels to be able to go to schools and not running the supervision element from the center. But all I'm saying, it is still a complicated system.
All right.
A lot more that needs to be done.
All right. Mr. Kayongo,
Yes,
do you
please.
think that the new system will reduce disparities between urban schools and rural schools in case it's taken on?
In my opinion, this new system cannot reduce the disparity between between urban schools, semi-urban schools, and rural schools. What I I believe, that just like in the 70s, under Idi Amin, when government funding for schools was very little, the Parent-Teacher Association became very active in schools. So likewise, if government takes over, government implements this policy, and I don't know how it's going to be implemented. And I'm not saying I am in disagreement with the policy. I want to embrace the policy. But all I'm saying, we need a lot more consultation before the policy is implemented. But if government implements this policy the way I have read in the newspapers, then the parent-teacher associations are going to become as active as they were in the 70s. They will take over the responsibilities that have been running under the school management committees and PTAs, which responsibility will again bring about disparity between urban schools and rural schools.
Okay. Now, Mr. Kayongo, you did mention that there ought to be more consultations done. And the question here is, have there been any consultations, or schools were just shocked and found out through the newspapers that government intends to centralize school fees payment?
The truth is that maybe I did not hear of the consultation. But the truth is that schools were shocked. Schools were shocked. Yes, you have access to the Reverend, to Archbishop Kazimba. You've access to Rubaga. You've access to Chivuli.
Yes.
But I can tell you, I do not know of any consultation that involved these spiritual bodies which founded so many schools before this policy was announced.
How about the seed schools? How about the seed schools?
The seed schools, for seed schools, there is a lot of funding that is coming from the central government going to the seed schools. But unfortunately, even for some seed schools, yes, most of the funding is coming from the center. But the ownership of the land in many, in some seed schools, the ownership of the land still comes from spiritual bodies. However, they have signed memoranda of understanding with the government that they have given over this land for certain periods of time for the schools, city schools run. Because of that, the memoranda that have been signed, you still do not eliminate the influence of the foundation bodies, because they still own, yes, there is a memorandum of understanding, but they still own that parcel of land. Now, it's very, it's important that the government realizes that there is mutual understanding in the spiritual bodies that this school should move ahead. That this school should move ahead. And I think the parent of Uganda has also mutual agreement that when I take my child to school, I want my child to be able to study under reasonable circumstances that will help him or her to succeed in this particular school and be able to move them to the next level. Now, where we come from, judging by what we've been hearing, that a public university has closed down and sent learners back home because funding has not come from. Now, think about that situation being replicated in secondary schools, in private schools. It's really a very, very big problem.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Kayongo. We are having a conversation on government's move to centralize school fees payment in public schools. A move that has met resistance from different key players. The Church of Uganda has categorically stated that schools that are founded by the Church of Uganda are not public schools. And then the Uganda Muslim Education Association has also come out and stated that they will not be part and parcel of this move. Now, why is the government moving to centralize the payment of school fees? They're saying they're trying to curb corruption and financial mismanagement in schools. Now, we are speaking to Mr. Kayongo William, who is the Principal Education Officer for Wakiso District. And in his argument, he says, yes, you want to curb corruption and financial mismanagement, but then you're going to negatively affect the running and operations of the schools that have been running smoothly without the government's head in that business. That's where we are at. Join the conversation on WhatsApp number 0709 602 592. Now, Mr. Kayongo, I do have some questions, some comments that are coming through, and the first one is coming in from Audra Phillips, who says centralizing fees payment is the beginning of failure in the management of schools, and he notes his reasons. He says, one, non-staff who are key in the daily running of schools who are not on the government payroll will be affected. Then he says some teachers paid by PTA funds will be affected too. And then he adds that already lower government structures like always receive funds towards the end of the quarter banter and always not absorbed. This affects service delivery, and he finishes by saying it is generally a bad move. Now the next comment is from Makerere Admon in Kasese municipality, and he says regarding government taking over fees collection in schools are bound to face huge crises in running their programs that need impressed, that is petty cash, given that government only makes quarterly releases with a lot of bureaucracy therein. And lastly, this one says, good morning Uganda, please ask Mr. Kayongo to answer the question of continuation of certificates in I don't know if but anyway, let me ask, maybe he has an answer. Please ask him to answer the question of continuation of certificate in nursing and certificate in midwifery. Have we stopped training those two certificates? If not, why is the government silent on the matter? I don't know if this is your docket, but as the principal education officer, you could start from there, and then also I would like your comment on the impressed part as we close.
The truth is, currently, under the current element where we have got, there is, even as we speak today, there is funding that is coming from the central government to go to these government-aided primary schools and government-aided secondary schools and the city schools. The element of interest is not catered for. However, the schools have got are supposed to set up committees that determine on how this money that comes from government is going to be spent. I do not want to go into the details of how this money is inadequate in running our schools, but his point is well taken and is justified.
Okay.
On service delivery, service delivery will certainly come down under this system because of various delays in the system, the network problems, and so many other issues.
So basically, there is no good, at least so far, there is no good in this proposal.
Under the current circumstances, goodness in the proposal is difficult to discern. We need a little more consultation, a little more time to contemplate and discuss how this policy can be effectively implemented.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Kayongo William, for sparing the time and for having this conversation with us.
Thank you very much, and I want to appreciate that this issue has come up for public discussion. May God bless you.
May God bless you too. Well, we have been speaking to Mr. William Kayongo, who is the Principal Education Officer, Wakiso District. Issue on the table, government's move to centralize school fees payment for public schools. Julie, as we come to the end of our conversation, what's your take on everything that Mr. Kayongo has shared with us?
My take is we are not ready.
We're not ready.
Yeah, because the government plans that this should take shape by 1st July, which is just what, how many months away? The next
Very
quarter.
few months.
Yeah. So clearly, yeah, we're not ready.
We're not ready.
Yeah.
And someone here is saying, that is Muhanji. Muhanji says, do public universities perform to the expectations? Even government itself, they are corrupt. And then the last comment says, good morning Uganda, I'm Dennis from Jinja. Seriously, Aloga Uganda yeyongeddemu ebisoko. I see Uganda as a multi-organ failure. You're being too tough. It's a Monday. Let's lighten up. But anyway, that's the issue on the table. Key stakeholders are saying, no, we are not ready. And from the conversation we've just had, my takeaway is that not enough consultations were done before this move was even announced to the general public. But we will be following it. We will wait and see what will happen to centralize or not to centralize. UBC will be here to give you the updates, if any. But for now, let's take a short break. Good morning, Uganda. Sports updates are coming up next.
Live from UBC Studios.